What up, Corner Crew? Welcome to another episode of the Hip Hop Happy Hour podcast. I am your host, as always, Brad Baily. Want to give a shout out to y'all. Thank you for tuning in and how we do. I want to plug the show coming up August 4th at Starlight, Southbridge, Massachusetts. We got the foundation celebrating 50 years of hip hop. Y'all already know. Y'all seen the flyer bouncing around. You know what I mean? We got Joe Grizzly headlining, Genosha Records, Child Mental, Shots, Freddie Black. We're gonna be doing big things that night. So definitely come on out and celebrate with us. But without further ado, I want to represent this man right here coming up, actor, MC, overall hip hop head, coming straight out of New York. Let's bring up Mike Handz, y'all.
Yo, what's goody?
What up, bro? What up, bro?
Oh, and be easy. What's the good word?
Thank you for joining us, man. Thank you.
No, thanks for having me, man.
It was good. It was good meeting you out in Brooklyn at Bad Seed Show. That was hell of a night, man. That was hell of a night.
Yeah, it was awesome energy out there. I appreciate you for coming down.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. The way we like to kick this off is I like to just give it right to you, and I like to ask Mike Handz, where are you from, who are you, and what you about?
Oh man, that evolves a lot, right? So Flatbush, Brooklyn is where I'm from. Um, Planet Hip Hop, right? Let's call it that. Um, who am I? It really, really does evolve, right? So there's MC, there's graphic artist, there's clothing. Been a menswear designer over 25 years. For some of the major brands over the years. Um, Been a brand owner for some of the time. I'm a videographer and director. I'm a screenwriter and film writer with I think I have 6 published and registered with the Screenwriters Guild scripts and 1 soap opera that we've written. Shout out to my partner Winsome Lennon. Then actor, as you mentioned, which is something that I completely stumbled into, right? So when I was younger, I did the model thing for some time, and then that led me into doing commercials, and that was light, a couple lines here, a couple lines there, but nothing dramatic at all. Then I got fortunate enough to get pulled into a couple of situations over the years, and yeah, I really actually do enjoy that. So I've been doing that for a little bit. So now there's Project Heat. You can find that on YouTube and on Tubi. Season 5, they brought me back. So the first 3 episodes are up for season 5. Season 4 should be here this week coming. So definitely already got the fans locked back in. So that's a blessing. I'm glad to be back with them. Shout out Show Up Films. And I also star in a 10 episode season 1 of Rap Star the series. That's on Tubi right now. It's trending. Definitely check for it, like it, so you can keep us trending. That's a blessing. They're about to start the media rollout. So salute, uh, Craze and Industry Muscle. Salute Perry D Films on the distribution side, and salute, Tubi for the effort that they're all putting into marketing this situation. Salute the cast members and everybody that's there. So that's crazy. Um, Recording artists, salute, my family. I'm a descendant of the boot camp clique, of course. And then now currently, I do my business label wise with Def Squad. So salute Eric Sermon and everybody over there. And Kim Sermon, of course, for getting me over there. DJ Diamond, the artist, for DTA the experience for getting me there. And father, that's really first and foremost, but let's say it all out of turn. Husband, father, that whole jazz. Grandfather, of 3. So I'm excited about that. My little girls just they just did their step up, so they headed to kindergarten in September. The 2 girls, and baby boy is still in pre-K, but he's doing what he do. And I work in the mental health field during the day. I'm an executive director at a mental health agency. I head up the Healing Through Hip Hop Foundation, and we're about to take that, on the road a little bit. So salute my whole Healing Through Hip Hop team. And we have a conference actually next Thursday, July 20th at NYU, Kimmel Center in NYU in New York, where I have a couple of surprise guests I'm pulling out, from the industry. And my panel of mental health care providers that have a connection, and we speak on the intersection between hip hop and mental health, and the things that kind of get overlooked when people don't realize how much of it is rooted in the same conversation.
That is something that people don't realize is that there's a really struggle of mental health in hip hop nowadays, not just hip hop, but across the world.
Yeah,
You know, shout out to you for that day job because that day job, the father and the mental health, those are the two most important things.
that part. And then I appreciate you. And just, to make sure that we spotlight language,
Mm.
mental health isn't something that everybody struggles with, right? When you go to the doctor and have a checkup, you don't always get bad news.
Right.
Sometimes they say, you're great, keep doing what you're doing. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So mental health is no different than physical health. It's just about making people aware to check in on it. Some people have things they're going through. Some people have a little harder time, hitting the margins and getting themselves in alignment with what they want,
Mm.
right? Because we're born into what everybody wants for us. It takes us a little while to get into what we want, right?
For real.
And rightfully so when you think about it. When we're here, we don't know nothing. We ain't never been here before, so everybody's trying to keep you from
Mm.
walking in the street. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And then sometimes when it's like the failure to launch concept, where we don't realize at what point we're supposed to let go, and they don't realize what point they're supposed to let go either.
Mm.
And there's all the disconnects and things that happen in between. So yeah, I'm honored to be there. I didn't expect it, but sometimes there's paths that you chose, and there's paths that are chosen for you, and it's about learning to discern the two.
Where do you find the time, man? Because you just rattled off a million jobs, bro. How do you squeeze all that into a day?
All right, so perfect example today. I did my 8 hours. Um, the meantime, I fielded two phone calls that I wrote into the day that I knew I was going to have to take. One around one of my design clients, Salute Trillionaire Dreams. So I had to, you know, check in with them and make sure everything's okay. Meantime, in the background, dealing with the manufacturer to make sure that all the production is on time for that. Nothing but a series of phone calls and emails once you get used to it.
Mm.
Like when you're first starting, you have to be super hands on with everything because you're still learning the curve while you go. But once you get it kind of to a science and muscle memory gets involved, it really does free up more time than you think, and you start more so overseeing than really ruling with the work. Because let's just say a t-shirt, right? A t-shirt has two arms and a neck hole,
Mm.
right? I don't care how
Yep.
completely creative you think you are. It's always going to be two arms and a neck hole, right? Pants are going to be a waistband and two legs. It just is what it is. So my job's already halfway done. Once I've made one pair, I have every pair already sitting there. It's about what I do with it. And that's where the work is. So I start at the 50-yard line anyway,
Mm.
right? Um, if your conversation with your client is accurate enough, then they've given you everything you need. I ain't trying to rack my brain about color. They told me what they wanted.
Mm.
They're not trying to rack my brain to cover art. They already told me what they were looking for. So those things kind of definitely streamline the processes. I don't always have direct, videos slated. I have two videos slated for the end of August, so that's not in the way. And I schedule everything with respect to the fact that I know those 2 days I have to shoot, right? I try to do my editing the very next day if I can help it, so that way it doesn't start to step on the toes of what I have next.
Right.
So though I have a shoot on the 30th, I may take the first and the second and just say I have a 3-day shoot. Really, the second 2 days are editing,
Mm.
but I made room for it. With music, you know, I'm not I'm not the 22-year-old artist that feel like I got to rap all the time. I did that part so that I don't have to do it now, right? So when we have projects, we schedule and pencil in when we're going to do the work. We get the work done and it's out the way. We turn it over to the engineers and let them do what they do. So for me, it's really as long as it takes me to write a verse and record it.
Right.
After that, the team steps in. You know what I mean? I don't see that record again until they finish, and I critique it and say, "Yeah, I love this. The top end's too high, the bottom's too low. Shift my vocal." That's a 6-minute phone call, and then they off to it until I got to listen to it again. So, meantime, I'm working on something else. So, it's definitely something where you realize you don't have to live in each space. Once
Mm.
you've already kind of built your foundation in each space, you just step in and make sure that the train's still on the track.
Seems like you definitely learned how to juggle all those lives, and
Yeah,
good for you, bro. Good for you, because some people can't.
I sacrificed the kidney trying to learn, put it like that. The first go round, because I'm on my second life, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you playing Mario Brothers, right? And the first life, I was just running through the course. I was just running, 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 running. Now, the beautiful part is all that foundation work I did.
Mm.
The bad part is I didn't have balance, so I didn't know how to take a pause. I didn't think I had the room to do that. I thought everything had to get done now. You know what I mean? Now, now, now. There was no such thing as, because I was scared that people were going to forget I was here. Then you get to a place where salute General Steele, my guy from Smith and Wesson, from my boot camp family, that said, "What does he asked me one day, kind of out the blue, what does it feel like to be here?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I don't smoke no more. I thought he was just on some esoteric shit. He's
Right.
like, what do you mean? I'm like, he's like, to know that you can never undo what you've done. You're at a place now where you couldn't kill Mike Handz if you wanted to. I'm like,
Right.
what you mean? No matter what you do, somebody's gonna ask you if you still rapping. Somebody's gonna ask you when's the next this or when's the next that. Somewhere in the world, someone's gonna ask. And I'm like, wow, I'd never realized I got there. You dig
Mm.
what I mean? And it took somebody on the outside to say that, which honestly was really the cue to say, slow down. You can't undo it. You know what I mean? Like you're here, you've arrived, they'll wait for you. And at that
Exactly.
point, I realized I could walk and not run no more. So
Mhm.
now I do the records I want to do. If I don't want to do it, I don't. I go months at a time without rapping now. You know what I mean? Like I'm halfway through an album for the last year.
That's a totally different approach than a lot of MCs take today because of the flood of
Hmm.
content that's been coming out, and that's something we talk about a lot on the show. Is that you'll have 15 releases on a Friday now, and it just bogs down everything, and it waters down a lot, and a lot of the really good shit gets lost. So
There's there's value in absence.
there is. You're absolutely right. They can't miss you if you don't go away.
That's right.
We've been
And
saying it for years.
somebody said the difference between a star and a superstar is you got to pay to see a superstar. A
It's true.
star you run into anywhere, right? So ironically, when this was said to me, 50s in the club was huge. He was like, "Do you really see him in the club though?"
Right.
I was like, "Damn." He said, "All right, I'll do you one better. When's the last time you bumped into Michael Jackson in the club?
Hmm.
You don't see Michael unless you post to see Michael,
Exactly.
right?" Um, so even on our level, because of course we there's no likeness to Michael or 50 from where I'm standing respectfully, but in my realm, I make sure it seems like you've seen a ghost every time I walk in. And it comes with its reward. You know what I mean? People, you know how when well, you've actually been to one of my shows now.
Yep.
There's the points where the crowd thins out, and there's a point where it's all of a sudden just not so thin anymore,
Hmm.
right? When people hear your name announced, people gravitate to the space, not because you're better than anyone, just that I ain't seen him in a while. What's going on with him?
Right.
And that works in your favor. You know what I mean? So before I used to take every show. Like when you were in New York, I promise you, if it was an underground bill, I was on it somewhere. Either I was rapping or hosting. Till it got to a point where I realized I just don't. I'm doing myself a disservice. I ain't got time to learn new material.
Hmm.
I'm just doing the same show a lot.
A lot
So
of people, don't see it that way either. They're putting out, they're doing the same set 4 times a month in the same city.
hmm
Your people are really not going to come out by the fifth one. They're like, all right, I saw them 4 times already this month.
I
Why should
mean,
why should I go out again? You're right. You have to keep going. You have to keep evolving.
now the beautiful part is, something else they teach us is don't abandon your record. You know what I mean? Like don't abandon your records. Give them some time to breathe, right? So with that said, your record should run your 90-day cycle minimum. If you're performing and you got shows within that 90-day cycle, people should be getting acquainted with those records. But if you sitting there in the 3 quarters later and you giving them the same show in the same order, I wouldn't want to see me. You know what I mean? So I got to a place where for the last couple years, my team will tell you, I was like, if it's not overseas, I don't even want the show.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it could come off like arrogance or it could come off like, no, I'm tired of seeing me on
Right.
these bills. You know what I mean? Like it's the same show. I see the same people. It's the same DJs. It's the same bill. If you're not growing, if we're all in the same place all the time, So
Right.
even if you're not anywhere else, why don't you create the illusion you're somewhere else? Like act like you're not available.
Right. You're right about that. You act like you've been there before, and you know,
Hmm.
switch it up because as a fan and you're going to these shows, if you see someone even twice in 1 month and they do the exact same set, you're not going to want to go to a third one. You're
That's
not.
right.
Why spend the money for something you've already seen? Why it's like watching reruns more than 5 times. You know what I mean?
Unless it's somebody like if you're headlining, that's one thing. But if you're tucked on the bill, you can get away with it a little longer. You know what I mean? Because then the draw becomes the headliners, right?
Right.
And you can still give them what you want, the people that love the records or whatever you're doing. But if you're the draw, yeah, that draw is not going to work for too many times, which is why when we start getting our paid bookings and we're really outside, there's clauses in our contract that we can't cross regions. You know what I mean? So if I'm booked in your city, I can't take another show within a 5 block or 3 town radius, depending on where you are, right? Because now I'm watering down the marketing of of my anchor show.
Yeah.
So, you know, people don't know that if you're not really doing it. You ain't never seen that clause before.
Right.
You know
People
what I mean?
don't. People. A lot of artists don't think past their next move. Like they should be. It's not. It's not. This isn't checkers. This really is a chess game.
That's right.
Well, if you want longevity, like you, like Seed, like all these other people that are still doing it, that are our age, that are really you guys all hitting your peaks of your career at this point.
Hmm.
Which I wanted to ask you how far or where do you want your level to be?
Honestly, I might be somewhere around there now, to be honest. There's so many other things that are starting to interest me that are all in light of or
Hmm.
benefit from what I've done that have opened up other opportunities for me that are making me not have to jump around on the stage as much,
Right.
you know, which is a blessing. Like you hope to graduate one day. Now I did the exec thing the whole way through. You know, I've done the A&R thing for the major, and I've done the A&R for the independents, and I've done the digital A&R thing along the way. So it's not like my natural progression is now to become an exec. You know, I've owned a label already. Shout out my Dem Recordings family, Sony Red. I have a distribution and publishing company. Salute, you know, my folks over at Who Mag. And um, as far as my publishing company, Torture Nature LLC Media Labs, salute, you know, the folks I do business with at Orchard. So, you know, I have those things in place already. Um, Soul Masons Films got that in place already. So it's not really the ownership thing, but it's just what's the evolution. So our healing through hip hop situation is really important to me because I get to take every minute I ever spent in this industry and every minute I spent pursuing it and every experience that I've had, and I get to now wrap it up into a conversation about
Mm.
what it meant to get there, what it meant to be there, and how did I stay for as long as I did. Um, and what it was like coping with the fact that you realize that your version of success might not look like what you thought it was when you got here,
Right.
right? Because sometimes you have this vision of success and you're so locked in on your vision, you neglect to appreciate the successes you had in pursuit of your vision,
Right.
right? So it took a minute for me to sit back and say, wait a minute, I've never gone platinum. Hell, I've never gone gold. Yeah, but I performed on every continent several times. You know what I mean? I've been revered as a legend in multiple countries. Um, I've worked with everybody on my bucket list. Period.
Mm.
I think I have two that I haven't. And ironically, May 5th, I just did a show with both of them. That was Rakim and G Rap.
That's dope.
And I don't have Mike Handz records featuring G Rap or Rakim.
Mm.
However, I do have records with Big D that I'm on featuring Rakim, and I have records with my man QB Rap P that I have with G Rap.
Right.
So it's not like I don't have records in the world with them. I just don't have Mike Hands featuring records. So that's bucket list stuff for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But other than that, man, like a blessing. I mean, I have records with everybody from Kane to Rest in Peace Tame One to Razzcast to bro, I really don't have many people left on my bucket list at all. Smooth Hustler. You can pretty much name them. I probably caught something with them along the way, which is such a blessing for me. And how's that not a success if this was the stuff that made you want to do it in the first place? Watching Video Music Box, shout out Uncle Ralph and different platforms coming up and just watching these guys like, yo, one day I want to be good like them. So just to be able to hold your own on records with them, to sit there. Look, my brother D Wise of the Bums just jumped on. I'm tour. That's who I tour with now. You know what I mean? Salute D Wise. Salute my brother All Purpose. The Bums, incredible records coming. And he just got a new situation for himself, so he moving around. You know what I'm saying? And then together they have the JDP team, and then we're the fourth quarter unit together. So we're working. That was my motivation to even get back outside, to be honest with you. Those two men right there, the reasons why I even touched the stage again. And I've been on the road with them since February. So the night that you saw me, you might not even have saw me if they hadn't kind of got me back outside. Right. So it's a blessing, man. Like, you just go, and I think I peaked for the initial question. I don't want you to think I lost it. I think I kind of peaked, but peaking doesn't mean finished. I think now it's just time for me to get to a place where I'm on a flat surface on the mountain. I can sit down and really work.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to see the little wins and to enjoy those wins as you're going. It really is, because there's somewhat you're always moving. You're waiting for the next thing, and so people really need to take a minute and just stop and look and say,
right.
"Oh shit, I just did that." Yeah. It does, and it happens in everybody, in every facet of this game. With what I do, what you do, what the writers do, what bloggers do. It's sometimes you have those moments, and you got to sit there and you got to say that was a dope moment in life.
Absolutely, and a lot of the times, like I said, we move so fast that we don't check in with ourselves, and we don't appreciate, and we're not kinder to ourselves about what we've done.
Right.
Because we're so focused on what we thought the outcome was supposed to look like. Right? You know what I mean? I don't know, everybody has different belief systems and different things they subscribe to, but I believe that, let's call it destiny, right? If you don't want to say God, let's call it destiny or whatever you're into. There's one of those situations where you start going and you have this vision for yourself. And I just said that my cousin captured the moment, just popped in. He's also an artist and a photographer. He's bananas. But I just told him last night, because me and him have been close his whole life. Sometimes you have a vision for you, and then sometimes there's a vision meant for you. And like we're talking about, sometimes you get lost in the concept of being so hell bent on what you think your vision is, that you forget that your vision is only second to the vision that's carved for you.
Right.
And sometimes we're lucky enough for them to coincide.
So sometimes you don't find that vision, and that would suck.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to figure out actually what I want to do in this world. It really did. It took me a long time. Now I kind of found it, and now I got to run with it. But you got to make the best of what you have too.
That's right.
That's something that a lot of these young artists don't do. They don't know how to properly market themselves or promote themselves, or they don't even have the effort to do so. Which is wild. Like, I don't understand how someone can think they can just go on their computer, make a beat or make a song, and then just think that the internet's gonna take care of it for them.
Well, isn't that the illusion that the internet kind of creates right now?
It does. You're right. Yeah.
Right, because you can go on anything and literally create this illusion that it just worked. Right? It's almost like, I call it baby daddy syndrome. Like, a baby daddy always to that kid is a Superman. If he's not a single father, right? And he's visiting, every time you see your father, he got to shape up. He got money in his pocket. He ain't never sick. He's like literally an X-Men.
Right.
Whereas your mother, you see her sick. You
Mm.
see her when she having a rough day, when she don't want to be bothered, when her hair done, when her hair ain't done. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Meantime, she there's no illusion because there's no cut and paste, right? You're there for everything. With him, you can cut and paste. He cuts out those parts where he's just not his best self. And that's what the music has become, right? The music is the place where Jason Salute, the music is the place now where you can cut and paste and present the success story no matter where it actually is,
Mm.
right? It started when when Bow Wow took a picture of a postcard and it looked like he was in first class, and somebody else took a picture he was in coach.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that just spoke to how the internet can completely create this illusion. And now with AI,
Oh, it's wild.
bruh.
Yep. It's wild.
So I think for me, again, speaking about the peak, I feel like for my model, yeah, unless I'm ready to start competing by subscribing to the illusion of success and
Hmm.
getting off the train of really doing the work, then I'm there's no place for me in that part of it. So I have my little 100,000, 500,000, 200,000 fans and friends. There's a line I had in the record: "I'll forever yell out, I will never sell out. Fuck a stadium if these theaters steady sell out. I don't never have to do a theater, right? Because a
Hmm.
theater might bring me $1 million in a night. I mean, a stadium might bring me $1 million in a night, but a theater might bring me 100,000. If you really love to rap, you don't mind doing 10 shows, you get the same million,
Oh, yeah.
right? Without compromising your integrity or anything.
Mm.
And I think that subscribing to the cheat codes is just compromise. I come from me in a book, a folded up book in the back of Carl Kanai jeans. You know what I'm saying? I come from lunchroom tables. I come from stairwells between classes. I come from Tascam 4-track recorders. I come from carrying DATs, ADATs, and reels. I come from that.
Right.
Um, do I have a Pro Tools rig? 3 of them. Do I have a studio right now running completely with no outboard gear? Absolutely.
Mm.
But best believe all my digital gear mimics my my outboard gear.
Right.
I have a Kai S950 in there. I have a SP 1200 digital version, the RX 1200. Like my entire digital setup mimics the old hardware setups I've had. I have an ASR 10 rack mount digital version in there. So it's still as futuristic as it is. It's still based on what got me here.
Definitely. You still have to evolve with the time, but you can't be bogged down by, you can't be handcuffed by that time. And
Uh,
that's what I feel. I feel a lot of people are getting handcuffed by the world we live in right now, especially AI. You're right. AI is a beautiful thing. It could be the best thing in the world, but it also could be the worst thing in the world.
So there's an example, right? So integrity wise, we've been wearing fitteds how long?
Oh, forever.
Right? So that's part of the culture. That's been here. However, if you look at this 777 hat on, salute my man GMS who just jumped in. His album is out right now, just dropped last week, right? This hat is actually an NFT. There's a digital token that you can tap your phone and redeem inside. So this represents new technology. It's ahead of its time, but it's rooted in classic material.
Hmm.
You see what I'm talking about? So I'm not sitting here with no weird transparent hat. I'm not sitting here with something that levitates and just fake on my head. It's not a digital hologram.
Right, right.
But it's just as forward as any other technology. You see what I'm saying? So I'm a part of the wave. I've subscribed to the wave. I have a digital, the digital currency and the non fungible token. On the block. The hat's on the blockchain. I own it, right? However, I could still put it on the on the rack with any other 5950. I have my Yankees over there, and I have all the rest of them, and you're not gonna know that this one is the one ahead of the pack because it still fits in with who I am.
Right.
And that's how I utilize the technology. Just like when T-Pain dropped and the auto tune went crazy.
Hmm.
People had no clue because then you seen everybody mimicking him. The part you didn't know is he was using auto tune wrong on purpose to create the illusion,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
in order to get that sound, you have to use it wrong, which means you literally turned it all the way out of parameter. The art to actually use an auto tune is to not know you used it. Melodyne the same way, is to not know you used it. If you've done it right, you have no clue it's been used. Because that sound you get is actually putting bad notes back on key. That's that rubber band sound, is it's snatching the note and trying to place it on the key. Now, what's wild about it is then after the fact, after all of the backlash, eventually, after he's already become mega successful, he had to then start performing so people realized he could actually sing.
Yep.
So now when you look at it, he had to intentionally sing bad to make it work.
Mm.
So now you have all these people that can't sing, that you've given a pathway in, which compromise quality, integrity, and talent. So that way, you actually could have just kept the integrity of actually being able to sing, but you never showcased that.
Right.
Right. So my man John just jumped in and he mentioned, and I'm a testament, he does it for me. When he picks up the record, he picks up the digital version and the physicals.
Mm.
He has respect for the classic material, but at the same time, he's very much forward, because who got a Walkman? Who got a Discman?
Right.
Who
Yeah.
walks around
Nobody.
with that?
Yeah. Everybody's listening digitally, but it's nice to have something
That's
physical.
right.
I like collecting like the odd things,
Mm-hmm.
tapes, keychains, like something that somebody has that's different. And I tell a lot of people that when I talk to them and they're thinking about, oh, I want to put out merch. I'm like, think outside that box. Don't just put out a T-shirt and a vinyl. Find find something different and something that's still connected to you as a person and the culture, or find something different. Just you don't have to go buy 2,000 of them. Start with 50.
That's
Start with
right.
start with 25. Put limited edition. People, especially Americans, we love exclusive limited edition shit. We stand in line for 2 days for
Yep.
Jordans. You know what I mean?
As
So,
much as we've become followers, imagine that.
hmm,
As much as we've become complete followers, we still love exclusivity. We love to follow down the rabbit hole of exclusivity.
it's so weird, man.
And
It's so Twilight Zone.
but you nailed it. You nailed it. Like, if you ever look at my merch collection, when I tell you the ranges, you can get a Mike Handz puzzle,
Hmm.
or you can get a bed comforter, or you can get a duffel bag, or you can get a book bag, or you can get a regular t-shirt, hat, and hoodie. You can get a pair of Mike Handz sneakers. You know what I mean? Like, we just went completely wide with the idea. And our motto is, oh, ain't nobody gonna have that. That's our motto when we choose our merch items.
That's what it should be right there. Boom.
Mhm.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is it have something that no one else is gonna have.
We have Mike Handz statues,
That's wild.
literally 12-inch, incredibly replicated statues. Salute my man B-Boy Black out in Malaysia. He killed it. Then we have the Zigzag 3D. They did the ones that you can paint yourself,
Yep.
the bus. Um, Lighters, keychains, pins, rubber patches that you can buy to put on yourself. Like, we took it back to Metallica and Def Leppard with the embroidered patches you can put on your jean jacket yourself. Like, we just wanted to be innovative. Even our digital, I did CDs, but then I did digital download cards instead of a whole reprint of CDs,
Hmm.
where you can take it, scratch and win like a lotto ticket, and then you could just go ahead and download it straight on the device that you decided to use to put the code in.
That's a dope idea. Shit, I never thought of that one.
Yeah,
I'm always thinking too. I'm always thinking that way of like the brand because that's what it is nowadays. Everybody's got a brand, and we're all competing against each other, even though we're all kind of in the same lane. But and it's whoever's yelling at the mountaintop the loudest, and who look at me, and that you have to be that way. You really have to be that way if you want to be seen.
so what you said was the mountaintop, right? So let's take that. Marketing. None of us in the independent space has a dollar for every person we want to touch.
Right.
We're not going to go and take our message to 50 states, 51 states. We're not going to take it across seas and go shake everybody's hand.
Hmm.
But I can put 1/16 of that into one marketing campaign that's going to put enough spotlight that those million people will come to the light.
Hmm.
right? And that's kind of the way you want to do it. Like, put focus on the wattage on the light, and let it's cheaper. Let the people come to you. You ain't have to buy no plane tickets. You ain't get on no buses. You just kept building the brand. So what the world has shifted to is the music is nothing but the soundtrack to the brand, right?
Right.
So your merch is what you wear when you're listening to this soundtrack.
Mm.
The brand, this is the music you listen to when you consume the brand. Now make the brand something worth tuning into,
Yeah.
right? And then when you realize that you are the brand, that's when you're really ready to do something, because we don't have the luxury of this big think tank and this machine that's going to manufacture and crank out an identity and
Yeah.
fuel that identity.
You're right. We have to do everything ourselves.
And the only thing we can afford to do on a day-to-day basis is be us.
That's it.
That's the cheapest one. And you have the most control over the IP. That intellectual property is yours. And when you had the birth certificate, you already got it copyrighted.
There you go. For
So
real.
just run with it.
You're right. So
You know?
roll with what you have, people, for real. Like I tell a lot of everybody that I talk to, like you gotta stand out. You gotta find what's different about yourself and run with that shit. You
Yeah.
really do. And if it doesn't conform to the normal scene that you're involved in, fuck it. Go with it. Try to make a dent in what's normal, because not everything has to be normal. Not every but and also not everyone is special. That's a thing too. Not every Because if everybody was special, nobody would be special.
Now you're about to delve into a whole nother conversation, got nothing to do with music.
Right.
That's I call the second place trophy conversation. You know what I mean? That everybody gets a trophy conversation.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother bag of shenanigans. But I think the scariest thing to do is be individual, even though that's the one thing you were born with.
Mm.
It's terrifying. Why? Because you were born individually into a family.
Right.
If you're lucky, a lot of people, don't actually have that story, but you're born into some sort of collective, be it biological or not. So there's a sense of belonging, no matter how awkward it is out the gate. So it's hard to not be shielded by association in some way, shape, fashion, or form. Once you step out, you're in this really windy place because there's nobody standing next to you, in front of you, behind you to break the wind, right?
Right.
And you feel nude and exposed and criticized, and there's nobody to deflect the criticism. Me, I was born with a face full of freckles. So at the end of the day, yeah, I just didn't fit in. Right? I had flaming red hair before all the sodium, the salt and pepper stepped in. And it was red, so it's more salt and cayenne.
Yeah.
And I kind of had practiced my whole life of not fitting in. I actually put more work into fitting in than I did to standing out. Because of course, like, you're trying to bury yourself into a collective. Like, you want to fit in. You don't want the weight of standing out. Right? But then you get to this place where you realize, by definition, you standing out is what keeps you apart. So we went out one night when we were younger, and there was an incident that occurred and police got involved. And they swarmed and I got picked up. However, the only thing that got me out of there that night was the fact that the witness said, "I don't remember freckles." That was it.
Yep.
So my difference is what had the other four that they couldn't really differentiate solidly. Mine, without a doubt, excluded me from the conversation. Right? So little things like that, you start realizing, wait, I can weaponize being individual. And then another point, fast forward, I'm about 23, 24. I became a promoter, running around the club with no money for marketing materials. I became my own poster. I remember at one point I was at Supper Club. I think I purposely bumped into physically everybody in the club. Just so I could say, "Oh, pardon me, my bad." and look them dead in their face so they remembered the kid with the freckles.
Right.
That was a long night.
Mm.
But from that night on, and of course, it probably wasn't just that night, but you can't tell me that people weren't like, I know him from somewhere.
Mm.
Yo, I know you from somewhere because I made sure you saw me. I ain't have nothing else to give you, but I knew you was going to remember if you saw me.
Right.
Right. Then I had to just figure out what I was going to attach to it, you know? When I started the modeling career, same situation. For someone who grew up feeling so isolated and awkward because of the freckles, all my work came because at the time I had dreads, because I had dreads and freckles. So it was like this oxymoron.
Mm.
I was like Opie Marley. It was like two different
Right.
things going on, right? And it made me categorize as what was called an exotic,
Mm.
right? So you had your standard light skin guys, light skin bald head guys, dark skin guys, dark skin bald head guys, white guys, white bald head guys. And then you had the exotics where you look Polynesian, or you look like me, or you look somewhat Asian mix, or you know what I mean?
Right.
And it gave us a category, and I fit into something that didn't have so many people in it. Made it easier to be seen.
Mm.
So, you have to embrace your uniqueness because it gives you a story to tell that can't no one tell.
That's a dope story for kids, man. For a young kid that's growing up that feels like they're out of place, and to know that if they have that difference might take them really far in this life, just as long as they're confident enough with that difference.
Yeah.
For sure.
Unless you're a triplet, you have no business not being different.
Mm.
Even in a house full of siblings, you very rarely find them that don't have unique traits.
Oh, trust me, I'm the youngest of 10, and all 10 of us are totally different people, man.
The youngest of
Totally, yeah. Totally different people, all 10 of us. Well, I want to move on to our segment we call "What's Your Issue."
Let's do it.
What's your issue can be a little thing, a little pet peeve in your life that you don't like someone cutting you off or whatever, or it could be one of the big issues in this world.
Hmm.
So for today, Mike Handz, what's your issue?
What grinds my gears? Um, you know what I don't like? I don't like people on social media that post stupidity and then close the comments.
Hmm.
I don't like people on social media that speak to you and make a comment and you can't comment back because they can't you can't at them.
Right.
I want to reach into social media and punch them in their stomach. Like I don't like that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't like that at all. Like, why would you be why are you in the conversation? Why interject in the conversation if you're not gonna allow a response?
Right.
So yeah, that's one of the things that
Yeah,
really
yeah, that drives me crazy. One thing that drives me crazy is social media is not your personal diary. It really is not, people. Some people are putting out way too much on social media than what they really need to, and it's not a good look because then all your people behind the scenes are talking, and there's no reason to get people talking if you don't want the exposure.
I think that's a gift and a curse, right? When it started at Twitter, an old friend of mine said that this was my thought toilet
Hmm.
because they really had no connections on Twitter. It was somewhere they felt they could get it in the world, get it off their chest, not internalize and keep it moving.
Hmm.
I think if you choose your platform wisely, it can be interesting. I think if your following is limited to just family and you keep it private, that can be interesting.
Hmm.
I think there's something that no longer exists in this world, which is time and a place.
Right.
Right? I feel like all of the traffic lights in the world are broken. So imagine being at a busy intersection in your city and all of the lights are broken. What's going to happen?
No one's gonna know what the fuck to do.
Right? Everything's just going to eventually come to a halt.
Right.
And I feel like right now in the world, everything is a go. Everything. There's no morality lines. There's no etiquette lines. There's no decorum lines. There's no judgment lines. Everything is a go. Why? Because everybody wants to be seen, heard, and felt, which they say. I mean, all right for it. But I think that everybody wants to do it at no cost. Right?
Hmm.
So when you want to go, I'm supposed to be okay with that. Stifle me so you can go. But you're not going to stifle you so I can go. And then the next person wants to go and be seen, and then I have to compromise who I am so they can go. And then before you know it, there's no margins. And that's where we are, right? There's no margins anywhere. And with no margins, there's no shame.
Mm.
And they made shame shameful. And I'm not talking about shaming other people. I'm talking about having your own personal
Oh yeah, yeah,
margins of
definitely.
shame that are like, you know what, shame isn't necessarily negative if it's a tool you use to marginalize what you're willing to do
Mm.
with your personal brand as a person, you know. And I think a lot of us that have, you know, parents in play, not disappointing or not upsetting or what would mom say, helps govern us on certain levels, right? And your grandparents, I don't want my grandmother to see that, or, you know, those, whatever it may be, those people in your life that make you want to carry yourself this way and not the way you carry yourself with your friends,
Right.
and not the way you carry yourself in, you know, in your own space.
Mm.
There's no margins anymore. Everybody is privy to everything. And the things I see on social media went from just enjoying social media to feeling like I need to make these comments. Like, really? That's all we gonna do? That's all we got? I went through your page. It's just ass. That's it?
Right.
There's nothing else. But yet at the top, you say you got your bachelor's and your master's and you're studying for your PhD and you're a scientist. But nothing here describes that.
Mm.
You still clearly think your ass is your biggest asset. So I don't know, bro. Like I
And
went out. Like I'm watching Tesla. I'm watching everybody with a space program. I'm paying attention.
mm,
I'm trying to figure out when them abduction tickets is coming out.
for real, for real.
Get me out of here.
It's a wild world we live in, and we just have to keep adapting every day and moving forward and doing what we do. That's all we can do, you know. Well, like I like to say, all we can do is create. All we can do is control our own reaction and actions. That's it. We can't control anybody else's actions or the way they react to us, or so we
But
just gotta move.
you can't control your reactions and actions anymore. Because even when you do that, you step on someone else's toes.
You're right. You're right.
Right? Like
Right.
I can't forget my 45 years of knowing something. Because it makes you uncomfortable, I have to fake unknow it.
Yeah, but you can't put yourself in that position either and compromise
I
yourself to
didn't.
make anything because
I didn't.
I won't do that for
I
sure.
didn't. But see, depending on what your life dictates, I'll end up in HR in my life.
Mm,
You see what I'm talking about? Like
right.
I have to subscribe.
Mm,
And that's what the world has become. Like I do trainings and trainings and trainings on what this subscription looks like.
mm,
So in the world, on so many levels, it's become this borderless comfort zone.
mm,
But there's no way for for everyone to be comfortable. If you have 5 people in a room and 4 couches, everyone cannot stretch out.
right.
At some point, we have to coexist and be neighborly and say, you know what? All right, I can pull my legs in a little bit. You
Mm,
pull yours in a little bit. We all now got a place for an end table.
right.
But nah, everybody wants to just stretch out and stretch over and stretch under. It's a lot. So, um, I don't know. That's where we stuck at. I don't have nothing to rap about. That's why I haven't been rapping.
Mm.
I'm just in awe watching and trying to process.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. This
Mhm.
world is a lot to take in. But we're coming to the end of the Hip Hop Happy Hour podcast. We're gonna be wrapping it up here in a few minutes. So now it's time for promotion. We love to
Mhm.
shamelessly self promote our stuff. So you tell us what you got going on, what you got coming up. Let it all out. Where can we find you?
Um, so on social media, I'm Mike Handz at everything, MICHANDZ, like on the screen. Um, Golden Era Timeless is in all stores. Go check for that. Rest in peace, Granddaddy IU. He on there. Um, we have Sadat X, Punchline, um, Shabam Sadiq. Like it's action packed, that album.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
it's really action packed. I'm happy about how that came out. Salute Sis McGrath that did that with me. He produced the whole album and mixed and mastered and did all the sequencing on the album. So that was amazing. What do I have? Merch store, faction43.com. You can go and see the entire merch collection and, you know, Transformer Rise of the Beast is out. Beast Wars. So make sure you go check out the Decepticon jerseys that we have on the Faction 43 site. You'll be glad you did. NBA quality, full embroidery. What else do we have? Rap Star the series on Tubi. Rap Star. Go search it. Watch it tonight, or put it in your My Stuff list. You'll be glad you did. Project Heat, New York. YouTube, season 5. We have 3 episodes up. 4th episode will be up this week. I'm gonna give you a bit of a spoiler. They get me this time, boy. They get me. So that's what I'm gonna tell you. They're in talks about season 2 of Rap Stars. Millie Bucks will be back, so look out for that. What else I got going on? Trillionaire Dreams. Look out for that. We're working on that fall winter line, so that's coming out to BX. Salute them and the Dipset family and everybody moving around up there. 777, like I told you, is in stores now. GMS, go check for that. All Purpose, he moving around now. DY is about to drop some new music, so look for that. My whole 4th quarter unit is on the road, so we outside. July 19th, if you are in Brooklyn at the Kingsland, we have the UMCs headlining, and we're doing it for our brother Doc Ock, rest in peace. So rock the house, myself, DJ Toshi, Skanks the Rap Martyr hosting with me. It's gonna go down real crazy. Joe Bodega, crazy lineup, but UMCs are headlining, so they don't get to see that often. So come get you a scoop of that blue cheese and one to grow on. Then on the 29th, we're doing the Citizens of Hip Hop at the same venue. Citizens of Hip Hop at the same venue. The Kingsland in Brooklyn. Pull up, see what we got cooking, and everything else you catch online.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Again, my man, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. We're definitely gonna have to do this again sometime.
Appreciate you, King. That means a lot. Thank you, brother.
It's been a great, great conversation. And for everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. You guys already know we appreciate your support. We don't do this if you guys aren't watching. We don't do much if you guys aren't participating, because it's all about y'all, for real. So, for Mike Handz, I want to say thank you again, sir. Thank you for coming on. I'd like to
Salute.
shout out to everybody that's tuned in tonight. Shout out Bad Seed, shout out Capture, shout out everybody I see in the comments. And yeah, we out, man. Hip Hop Happy Hour podcast.
Hip Hop Happy Hour. Tune in. You heard.
Peace.